مشاهدينا في كل مكان، أهلا بيكم. احنا معاكم النهاردة داخل سفارة جمهورية كوبا. لقاءنا اليوم مع سعادة السفير ألكسندر بيسير موراجا، سفير جمهورية كوبا لدى جمهورية مصر العربية، عن أبرز المحطات الدبلوماسية لسعادة السفير وعن عادات وتقاليد الشعب الكوبي. هيكون لقاءنا اليوم، فابقوا معنا وتابعونا. في كل مكان بيسعدنا أن يكون في ضيافتنا اليوم سعادة السفير ألكسندر بيسير موراجا، سفير جمهورية كوبا لدى جمهورية مصر العربية. Your Excellency, please allow me first to thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank Egyptian television and Channel 2 for giving me this opportunity to share with the Egyptian people some information about my country.
Your Excellency, at the beginning we usually talk about your diplomatic posts before coming to Egypt, so can you please give us a hint about it?
Yes. Well, my first mission was in Tunisia in 2004. I was there about 3 years and a half, and I back to Cuba. I was in Cuba about four years and a half, and I was appointed in Egypt in 2012. I've been here 4 years, since 2012, since 2016. That was my second post as a diplomat, and it was very interesting for me live in Egypt in that years, really complex in Egypt, but very interesting for me as a diplomat. After Egypt, I back to Cuba. We always return to Cuba after a diplomatic mission abroad, and I was there about 2-3 years, and I was appointed as an ambassador to the Lebanese Republic. That was my first post as an ambassador, and I was in Lebanon since 2018 till 2021. And I returned to Havana. I was there 2 years, and I was appointed last year as an ambassador of the Republic of Cuba to the Arab Republic of Egypt. And I arrived here in March of this year in my second mission in Egypt. I'm so happy for that.
That's great. Your Excellency, it means this is not the first country in the Middle East. What distinguishes Egypt from the other countries that you have been to?
Egypt is an amazing and unique country because you have an amazing and long history, one of the biggest histories in the history of the humankind. You have many things that distinguish or make Egypt different to other countries. You have a very strong culture, and this is, in my opinion, the most important thing in Egypt, his long history and his strong culture. And of course, the Egyptian people is very important too.
Talking about the people, I would like to know more about the Cuban people. But really we would like to start about the geographic nature of Cuba. So what can you tell us about Cuba, the natural resources, and all the information that we can have?
Yes, of course. Well, Cuba is an island located in the Caribbean, in Latin America. Cuba is the biggest island in the Caribbean. It's a large island. And of course we have a rich history, not long as Egypt, because the Spanish they arrived to Cuba in the 15th century. We were a colony of Spain during almost 4 centuries, and we have a big influence from the Spanish culture and African culture too. Yeah, Cuba is an island with beautiful beaches. We are in the Caribbean. This is a region blessed by God in the sense that we have an amazing nature. We have green all the year. We don't have strong winters, and this is one of the most important attractives that Cuba have. Is his nature, his culture, his people, and of course the Cuban people, because we are a very open people, very open country, and very friendly with the foreigners, with the tourists that visit us.
Your Excellency, and what can we say about the traditions of the Cuban people?
Yes, as I told you, we are the Cuban people. We are a mix from Spain, between Spain and between African people, because during the colonies time they need to bring people from Africa to work in the plantation of sugarcane and coffee in Cuba, and we create this kind of mix between the European culture, Spanish culture specifically, and between the African culture, with the rhythms, with the food, and in this mix was born the Cuban nationality and was born the Cuban culture. As you know, Cuba is a very famous country by his culture, especially his music. And the Cuban music is the mix of these two very important cultures from Europe and from Africa.
Is there any handcraft that distinguish those people?
Yes, we have many handcrafts. We elaborate many things from wood. For example, statues from the wood, from the sea. We have many handicrafts that we use the things that we found on the sea, and we put together, and we elaborate and we create many things for the tourists, for the people who visit Cuba. We have, of course, our traditional food is mixed with rice, with beans, black beans and red beans. Seafood is very important in Cuba because we are an island. We have pork meat. This is a heritage that we acquired from Spain because it's very important. And of course, we eat meat, chicken, almost everything like here in Egypt.
Your Excellency, and if I asked you about the industrial sector in Cuba, what can we say about it?
Well, we have during many years, we developed the sugar industry. We were during many years the first exporter of sugar cane all over the world. This is one of our many sectors, the production of sugar. Everybody knows Cuba by that industry. We have, of course, another industry. For example, we have nickel. We have in Cuba one of the biggest reserves of nickel. This is a very important resource for the fabrication of airplanes, of cars, and many other things that we use every day in our life. This is, in my opinion, the most important. We have, of course, the cigar. The Cuban cigar is the most famous all over the world. We have the best cigar, and Cuba is very recognized by that. When you mention Cuba in any country all over the world, people immediately think in the cigars, in the Cuban cigars. And of course, they think in Che Guevara and sometimes in Fidel Castro. And this is one of the symbols we have in Cuba. The tobacco, the sugar, the nickel, and our nature is one of the resources we have in Cuba.
Cuba is known by its historical sightseeing. So what else, or what is the most important sightseeing which attract a lot of tourists in the field of tourism? Cuba, of course.
We have historical places, of course, not like Egypt, because you have a millenary history. We have some places linked to the Cuban Revolution, very famous, and that people visited a lot. We have, for example, the Revolution Square is in Havana. This is a big monument when we have a statue of the Cuban national hero, Jose Marti, and we organize huge meetings and huge demonstration of the Cuban people in that historical place. When Fidel Castro many times speaks to the people, a million of people maybe can gather in that area. Every 1st of May we demonstrate in the Workers' Day, International Workers' Day, and this is one of the most important. We have, for example, in Santa Clara, a monument to Che Guevara. We discovered in Bolivia when he died. We discovered the rest of the Che Guevara and his partners, and we we built a monument in Santa Clara in order to honor the Che Guevara figure. This is one of the most visited places in Cuba. And we have, of course, in the west, in the east of Cuba, in Santiago de Cuba, we have Cuartel Moncada. It's another place linked to the Cuban Revolution. This is, in my opinion, the most historical issue.
And what about the economy sector in Cuba? It's built on what?
Yes, as I told you, the sugar cane is one of our most important. The cigars, the production of cigars and export. We have the nickel. We won one of the biggest reserves all over the world. Tourism is one of our most important source of income to Cuba. In this point, we are similar with Egypt, because you receive every year a lot of tourism that come here to visit your places, pyramids, all the monuments you have here. And in Cuba, for us, it's very important because we are an island in the Caribbean, and many people likes to visit Cuba to enjoy the music, to enjoy the food, to know about the Cuban history. And we receive many tourists every year, and this is one of the most important sources of income we have in our economy.
And what about the agriculture sector? Is it big or small in Cuba?
Our agriculture sector is big. We are an agricultural country, but we need more development. This is an issue that we can learn from Egypt about to increase our production in Cuba. We have many products that we produce in Cuba for our people. We export some of them, and we are now improving. We are promoting the development of agriculture in order to produce more for our Cuban population for export to another countries.
Your Excellency, of course, I would like to ask more about the role of women in Cuba. So, can you please tell us about it?
Well, the role of women in Cuba is really important, because the women in Cuba, they are in every aspect of our economy, of our culture, of our society. Only one point I want to tell you. We have in the parliament, more than 50% of the Cuban parliaments are women's. We are the second parliament all over the world, after Rwanda, with more women inside the parliament. This is only one point that shows you the importance of the Cuban women in our life and in the Cuban society. We have many women working in the industry, in the health sector, in education. They are fully integrated to the Cuban development, and they are fully integrated to the Cuban take of decision. We are going to talk about politics, about to take decisions. We have many, and we are very proud of this achievement of the Cuban Revolution that put the woman in a very important place in the life of the Cuban society and the life of the country.
Your Excellency, what about the coffee and its importance in the Cuban life?
Well, for Cuba, coffee is like tea for Arabs and for the Egyptians. This is the most important thing every morning for the Cuban, to prepare the coffee and to take a cup of coffee. And of course, if you visited any Cuban house, he will offer you for the first time a cup of coffee. This is part of our culture, of our traditions. We produce coffee in Cuba. We have a very good coffee, with a good quality, and we export to many countries. And this is a part very important of the Cuban life, of the Cuban culture, the coffee.
And what about the Cuban cuisine and its famous dishes?
Well, as I told you, we are an island. We have many plates, resulting of this mix between the Spanish cuisine and the African cuisine, and Arab cuisine too, because we receive in Cuba an important group of Arabs that came mainly from Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine. And they are a community very important in Cuba. But our main plates, is for example rice with beans, black beans or red beans, the pork meat, the chicken, and the meat. And of course, we have too the seafood. This is very, very important in Cuba. Oysters, shrimps, and this is in general the Cuban cuisine, the Cuban food.
جمهورية كوبا. الموقع الجغرافي: دولة تقع في منطقة الكاريبي في مدخل خليج المكسيك، تتكون من جزيرة كوبا وجزيرة لا جوفينتود. تقع الولايات المتحدة إلى الشمال الغربي، والبهاما إلى الشمال، وهايتي من الشرق، وجامايكا وجزر كايمان من الجنوب، وأخيراً المكسيك من الغرب. أهم مدنها هافانا، هي العاصمة والميناء الرئيسي والمركز التجاري الرئيسي لكوبا، وهو أكبر مدينة في كل من كوبا ومنطقة البحر الكاريبي من حيث الكثافة السكانية. اليوم هافانا مركز للحكومة الكوبية، ومختلف الوزارات ومقار الشركات تتمركز فيها. سانتياغو دي كوبا هي ثاني أكبر مدينة في كوبا، وهي عاصمة مقاطعة سانتياغو دي كوبا الواقعة في الجهة الجنوبية 40 ميل جنوب شرق العاصمة الكوبية، الذي كان يعرف باسم تاينو، أول من وطئ جزيرة كوبا، وأطلق هؤلاء على جزيرة كوبا اسم كوبانا. ثم وصل كريستوفر كولومبوس إلى الأراضي الكوبية في 28 من تشرين الأول من عام 1492 للميلاد. وقامت إسبانيا باستعمار كوبا لحوالي 400 عام، ثم أصبحت كوبا في القرن التاسع عشر من أهم الدول المنتجة لقصب السكر على مستوى العالم. ثم تسللت العبودية إلى كوبا، وكان خوسيه مارتي بطلاً قومياً يتذكره الناس بالأشعار، وبمحاولاته إزالة العبودية إلى كوبا، وبمحاولاته إزالة حكام الجزر الوحشيين. واحتلت الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية كوبا بعد إسبانيا من خلال بعض الديكتاتوريين كفولغنسيو، حيث كان الفساد متفشياً في عهده، ويعتقد أنه باع كوبا بكاملها للمستثمرين الأجانب. فقام كل من فيديل كاسترو وشي جيفارا بالإطاحة به في الثورة الكوبية بالعملة الرسمية في كوبا، والبيزو الواحد يساوي 100 سنتاً، وقيمة الدولار الأمريكي الواحد تساوي قيمة البيزو الكوبي الواحد. هي كوبا لنظام حكم شيوعي، وهي تتبع نظاماً سياسياً ديمقراطياً مركزياً يستند على مبدأ دولة واحدة حزب واحد منذ عام 1959. ويمثل الحزب الشيوعي الكوبي القوة الرائدة على مستوى المجتمع والدولة، وتعتبر كوبا دولة اشتراكية تحكمها مبادئ الماركسية، ويسيطر الحزب الرسمي تقريباً على كل قطاعات كوبا بما في ذلك وسائل الإعلام. أما فيما يتعلق بالانتخابات، فيستطيع غير المتهمين بأي جرائم جنائية أو الذين لا يواجهون أي صعوبات جسدية الانتخاب. فالكوبيون الذين يعيشون في الخارج ليس لهم حق انتخابي، ويستطيع الذين عاشوا في جزيرة كوبا لعامين أو أكثر الانتخاب.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for this interview, but please allow me to have another interview later to talk about the relations between Egypt and Cuba.
Yes, of course.
مشاهدينا في كل مكان، وبكده انتهى لقائنا مع سعادة السفير ألكسندر بيسير موراجا، سفير جمهورية كوبا لدى جمهورية مصر العربية. تحدثنا مع سعادة السفير عن جمهورية كوبا، وأيضا عن أبرز المحطات الدبلوماسية الخاصة به. شكرا جدا لحسن متابعتكم، وإلى اللقاء.